Thabang, thank you for holding the line. Welcome to the show. A pleasure to have you on Channel Africa.
Hi, Mmatsheko. Thanks for having me. Hope you're well.
Thank you. I'm well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Thabang. So let's talk about, just perhaps let's start with your vantage point as an ESG and impact analysis or analyst, I beg your pardon. Why is Africa's green economy conversation one of urgency at the moment?
Thanks, Mmatsheko. When we talk about the green economy, we are essentially talking about the future of development itself. That's essentially on the opportunity side of things. But we are also talking about the risk management, which stems from global issues such as your climate change, resource scarcity, as well as inequality. So these are issues that we are seeing that they are affecting the food security, jobs, infrastructure, as well as the financial stability. And if we're looking at the global scale, we are seeing that the green economy has essentially moved from being a niche conversation, but more of an economic imperative. So if we bring it home to Africa, this matters even more because our continent is warming up at a faster rate than the global average. Yet it also has the youngest population, vast natural capital, as well as infrastructure needs are required. So that combination alone, Mmatsheko, this is where we see that the green economy is not just about decarbonization, but it's also about creating jobs, fostering economic resilience, as well as ensuring that there is global competitiveness. And maybe just to bring it home to South Africa, we are already seeing this playing out. We are experiencing water shortages in parts of in other parts of the country. We also had issues on energy instability and climate volatility, which are no longer future risks. So these are things that are, affecting our growth at the moment. So I think this is why the green economy matters now because the cost of inaction is already being felt by households, farmers, businesses, as well as the municipalities.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so I want to filter you into this conversation because we hear the term ESG a lot. I hear it very often, but it can feel very abstract. As somebody who, like myself, who works in spaces where we want to translate this information. So, what does ESG actually look like in practice, especially when we look within African investment landscapes at the moment?
Yeah, so with ESG, we're essentially looking at the environmental, social, and governance factors and how we can go about incorporating those into investment decisions. So we are also seeing that playing a big role in terms of, what is the role of finance in terms of building this green future. So looking at a global level, we are seeing that global is not capital rather is not scarce, but the appropriate capital is. So when it comes to Africa, we are seeing that we actually need finance that is actually rooted in local realities. So maybe for us as Sanlam Investments, we view this finance not just as a passive allocator of capital, but as an active shaper of systems. So we incorporate all the risks and seeing how can we, play a role in terms of funding opportunities that are ensuring that they're able to address the environmental issues that we're experiencing. Maybe just to give an example, water infrastructure is often seen as a public sector issue, but from an investment perspective, this becomes an economic asset. And we are losing over 40% of treated water through leakages. And this then becomes not just an environmental issue or a systems failure, it becomes a financial one, especially for SMMEs and farmers who really depend on a functioning water system. So it is through our infrastructure as well as the impact strategy where we are able to treat water resilience as both from a risk management as well as value creation opportunity. Now, from this perspective, Mmatsheko, we are seeing that finance becomes transformative when it's able to crowd in private capital, as well as you're able to de-risk early stage pipeline projects and build a credible project because we're always looking for investment opportunities that have certain environmental as well as social outcomes and not just financial returns.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you've started listening, we are talking about green economies, green and blue economies on the African continent. This as we all prepare and all roads and all flights and everything, preparing for the 2026 African Green Economy Summit that's going to be taking place in Cape Town. Let's talk about Sanlam's investment in the space of ages, and talk to us about how you fit into to this puzzle, how you look at sustainability and inclusive economies, and what the dialogue is going to be shaped around for this year.
Yeah. So when we talk about inclusion is not something that happens automatically as the economy grows. We have to be deliberate in how we design this into our investment decisions. And if finance does not intentionally reach, the people that are really affected, I think in this case we can be looking into, the youth, women, as well as including the communities. If we don't include those, then the green economy risks reinforcing the same inequalities that we are trying to solve for. So we also have to, look at this in a practical manner. For example, in our private market cluster, we have a fund called 104 Plus SMME Solution. So in that fund, it has a built-in mandate which speaks to empowerment. So we invest directly into Black-owned businesses, women-led, youth-driven businesses that are creating real jobs in critical sectors of the green economy, from renewable energy, manufacturing, fintech, as well as infrastructure services. And to give an example of this, one of the businesses that is supported by 104 Plus is Fertility, which is a clean energy company that looks to provide solar solutions for households as well as small businesses. And what is powerful here is that it's not only the climate benefit side of things, but there's also the unemployment impact, as in over 70% of Fertility's workforce is under the age of 35. And nearly 45% of the employees are women. And this is a sector that is traditionally male dominated.
Yeah.
So it's cases like this where you can appreciate how youth and gender inclusion incorporated into the business model really plays a role in building a sustainable future from their business model and providing jobs for the communities involved.
Okay. So in terms of ages then, let's talk about the role that the summit is going to be playing in connecting investment and policy making spaces with communities, because as I understand from what you're saying is that you really are trying to have one conversation, right, in one
Yeah.
space. So in terms of being able to translate Africa's green transition, talk to us about the role of this particular summit in connecting the dots.
Yeah, so the role of the summit is essentially to have a platform where we can able to shift high-level commitments to more of a practical deal making. We are looking to connect policymakers, project developers, as well as investors around real projects that we are able to scale. So you might have seen that in this field, there's lots of policies, lots of commitments globally, but what tends to be missing becomes the implementation.
Right.
So the real gap is not ambition, it's more about execution. Maybe in South Africa, we also do have strong policies, but we're seeing that these tend to be fragmented when it comes to delivery. We're looking at, capital policies, governance, infrastructure planning, as well as environmental management, all operating in different silos. And that fragmentation really slows down the real impact. So for us as an asset manager, we try to bridge this gap by incorporating ESG and impact considerations directly into investment decision making. And it becomes not just a reporting overlay, but as a financially material input that goes into valuation, risk management, as well as portfolio construction. So these platforms like Aegis, we're able to learn from the experts in the fields, what is the global best practices? How can we maneuver? How can we invest well? How can we incorporate those policies into how we approach, how we go about our businesses, incorporating those before we invest into projects. So it's really just a room to bring everybody together so we can all align.
Absolutely. Very, very important. So if I'm currently listening to you and I'm not necessarily maybe an investor myself, maybe I'm a farmer, an entrepreneur, or just a young professional, how does ESG driven investment affect my daily business, as it were, or my daily workings that I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, so ESG is essentially ensuring that we live in a future that is sustainable. We have environmental sustainability and stability, which is quite important.
Mm.
We are seeing cases like in Limpopo where we have, flooding that is
Yeah.
happening, also the case in the Eastern Cape. So what ESG is looking to do is to ensure that we're able to invest into climate smart infrastructure, and we're able to ensure that we are able to slow down the impact and we don't fund unsustainable practices that may not affect us now, but in future it will be too late to act. So it's all about looking from the risk management side of things, but also looking for opportunities, because at the end of the day, we have to create a world that, it's better for you and I. It's not just working for investors, but people that may not have exposure to investments, so that everybody has all the gains in the world, and they don't have to worry about issues that maybe they did not play a hand in.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I really, really agree with that. It is one dialogue, and we need to get to a point where we break down,
Yeah,
research lab information
definitely.
and bring it to the people. So, if you're wondering about the Ages conference or summit that we've been talking about, Africa's Green Economy Summit, it's happening between the 24th and the 27th of February 2026 in Cape Town. If you'd like to secure your ticket or your place in this particular conversation, you're welcome to visit the wearevuga.com, okay? Or if you just type Ages 2026 on your Google search, it will lead you to the right page where you can
Yeah.
secure a ticket and go and come and join us. I will definitely be there, and hopefully Thabang will be there. We can talk about
Yes.
ESGs and all the wonderful things. Thabang, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much, Mmatsheko. Have a lovely Sunday.